Good morning, everyone. I'll call the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection to order. I see Senator Riviere and Senator Decoit joining us on Zoom, and in the room with me is Senator Clarence Mishihara and Senator Joy Sanfuena-Ventura. So, members, we have a robust agenda for our first hearing. Let me just note for the record that we are streaming this live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to some technical difficulties, we will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business tomorrow at 9:30 in conference room 3. What are we in? 229. 229. And tomorrow is the 2nd. If we have to reconvene. Let's see, for the testifiers participating remotely, your audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. We're asking for people to keep their comments to 2 minutes or so. We want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity, and we would like to do decision making at the end of our agenda. So I believe that's all of the housekeeping announcements. So let's move right into our agenda. The first bill on our schedule this morning is Senate Bill 2905. This is relating to coffee labeling. Requires coffee's blend labels to disclose the regional origins and percent by weight of the blended coffees, prohibits using geographic origins of coffee and labeling or advertising for roasted or instant coffee that contains less than the specified percentages coffee by weight from that geographic origin, appropriates money for inspection and detection technologies. Our first testifier on Zoom is Phyllis Shimabukuro Geyser, Department of Ag.
Aloha and good morning, Chair and members of the committee. The department stands on its written testimony supporting the intent and offering comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Budget and Finance, Craig Gerard. Submitted some late testimony.
Not present.
Hawaii Coffee Growers Associations, James Falconer. Hemo, are you there? He offered testimony and support. Hawaii Restaurant Association, Mr. Lim, I thought I saw him earlier. Victor, are you there?
Not present.
Okay, he submitted some testimony wanting us to hold the bill.
You have to let me in.
Victor apparently is there. There he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Please provide your testimony.
Kong Hei Fa Choi, Senator Chair Baker and Chang and members of the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. The Hawaii Restaurant Association stand in opposition to SB 2905 that would change the 10% Kona blend. The reason being is that, you know, many of our restaurants in Hawaii has been using a Kona blend, the 10% Kona blend for years and years. And forcing us to move away from a higher Kona bean count will definitely ultimately force our hands to move away from using local product, because we know Kona beans are premium quality. It costs a lot more and also have a different taste profile. So by forcing our hand to change, we will eventually end up not being able to support our local coffee over here, because as you can see from the pandemic and everything else, our costs continue to spiral, and we are probably one of the hardest hit industry out there. And for all of the above, we really feel that leaving it alone will be the way to go. So thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to share our concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Lim. I want to acknowledge joining us on Zoom this morning is our Vice Chair, Senator Stanley Chang and Senator Kurt Favela. And of course, we have, I think I already mentioned that we have Senators Riviere and Decoy on as well. So thank you all for joining in, giving us quorum so we can take votes at the end. Our next testifier also joining us on Zoom is Hawaii Food Industry Association Representative Laura Zerbel. Lauren, are you there?
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. I'm Alexis Chapman for HFIA. We stand on our testimony in opposition, and I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on Zoom is Hawaii Coffee Company, Gerard Bastiansi. How badly did I butcher your last name? My apologies.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much for having me. I need permission to start video, if that's okay. Oh, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Chair, Chair Baker, Vice Chair Chang, and members of the committee. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak today, and I will keep my testimony brief as well. We stand in firm opposition to this bill. We feel like it's not the right bill for consumers for a number of reasons. Specifically, it limits consumer choice. So consumers that for years have been going to the grocery store and are accustomed to buying a blend of coffee to their liking, anywhere from 10% to 100%. Our company sells all products 10% to 100%, both Kona and other Hawaiian origins. With this bill, that would eliminate the consumer choice option for clearly labeled 10% Kona blends that they may have been buying for years. So from a taste standpoint, consumers lose a choice of product they choose every day at the grocery store. From a cost standpoint, this would push the cost of local coffee up. We all see when we go to the grocery store how high food inflation is right now. And we've all seen the reports, and all this is going to do is push up further the price of coffee, which is a consumer staple for many people. And the product's going to taste different. So it's just less options for consumers, and it's a higher cost for consumers as they go forward. Additionally, from a commerce standpoint, what this is going to do is materially decrease the amount of coffee that's produced locally for producers like us, which is going to result in job cuts, less financial investment in the community, and it's going to further push an ongoing issue of our food being produced on the mainland and shipped over here versus us being a self-sufficient supply chain where we do have products like ours locally produced here in Kalihi and sold to consumers. Additionally, and I'm coming to an end, we have real concerns about copyright rules, regulations. We have strong copyrights federally trademarked, and this legislation really steps into our ability to use our copyrights and our brand, specifically Royal Kona, or even the name, the Hawaii Coffee Company, on our products. And we would ask that a study would be done or some more public policy work before impeding our trademarks. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next testifier is also on Zoom, Kona Coffee Council, Roger Kaibi. Roger, are you there?
Not present.
Okay, members, we have his written testimony in opposition. We have also on Zoom, Hawaii Coffee Association, Chris Manfredi. Chris, I thought I saw you. No?
Hi, Chair Baker.
Please
Members of the
proceed.
committee. Good morning. My name is Chris Manfredi. I'm the president of the Hawaii Coffee Association. The Hawaii Coffee Association is a trade organization comprised primarily of other organizations like the Maui Coffee Association, the Hawaii Coffee Growers Association, the Kona Coffee Farmers Association, and other members positioned throughout the supply chain. The HCA supports this measure. We think it's overdue. We talk about the quality of coffee in the bag and protection of brands. Those are all very important to us. We see the cost increasing for farmers. Labor is up, fuel is up, transportation is up, fertilizer is way up. Yet we're competing on store shelves with products that are introduced with foreign grown coffee, and that being the vast majority of the product that's contained in these packages. We do have a couple of comments on the specific legislation, wherein Section 6 speaks to also being processed in Hawaii. We want to point out to the committee members that there are certain processes that are not available in Hawaii, like decaffeination. So we would ask that simply the grown in Hawaii language be retained and remove the words "and processed," unless there are different definitions made for what the processes are. And further, we prefer that the non-Hawaiian grown coffee that's included in a blend be listed as foreign grown coffee rather than individually listing each specific country of origin. We ask you to pass this measure. We thank you for hearing our testimony. We're available for questions. Aloha.
Thank you very much. We have Greenwell Farms Inc. in support. Anybody on from Greenwell? If not, we have their testimony members. We also have testimony and support from Synergistic Hawaii Agriculture Council, submitted some late testimony. Retail Merchants of Hawaii, late testimony in opposition. David Bateman in support, and Lynn Mataso in support. Is there anybody on the call that I missed who wants to offer comments on this measure? Members, are there any questions for any of our testifiers on the call? If not, thank you. We will move forward to Senate Bill 2906 relating to agriculture, extends the offense of false labeling of Hawaii grown coffee to include roasted coffee, imposes a $10,000 fine for false labeling of Hawaii grown roasted coffee. We have on Zoom the chair of the Department of Agriculture, Phyllis Shimabukuro-Geisa. Phyllis.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha again, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. The department stands on its written testimony. We support the intent and we offer comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Department of the Attorney General, Jody K. Yee, Deputy Attorney General. Is the Deputy AG on the call? If not, we have their testimony. Hawaii Coffee Company, Gerard Lacianci, in support.
Hello again, members of the committee. Yes, we stand in firm support of this bill. Mislabeling of Hawaiian products is a serious issue, and we support it entirely.
Okay, thank you. Hawaii Coffee Growers Association in support. Kona Coffee Council, Roger Kaibi in support.
Not present.
Hawaii Coffee Association, Chris Manfredi.
Good morning again, Chair and members. Chris Manfredi of the Hawaii Coffee Association. This legislation is of paramount importance to us. The counterfeiting of Hawaiian coffee is an outrage and should be to everyone in the state. I'd like to read a little bit of my testimony, if you permit me, just to underscore it. Counterfeit coffee introduced to the marketplace undermines the hard work of Hawaii's growers and producers who are forced to compete with fake products. These fakes are often priced below the cost of production of genuine Hawaiian coffee. This creates downward price pressure during a time when costs are increasing for producers. Labor is up, fertilizers up, pesticides are up. Transportation is up. Growers work tirelessly to produce some of the finest coffee grown anywhere. This is necessary so they can command high price, stay in business, pay their employees, and feed their families. When they visit the supermarket, they are outraged that coffee is on the same shelves as their own, being offered at a lower price than their own cost of production. You may ask how this is possible. It's possible because unethical sellers introduce foreign-grown coffee into their packaging, lie to their customers, tell them it's Hawaii-grown product, and reap their ill-gotten gains. Hawaii's coffee growers are squeezed between a high cost of production and price competition based on nothing but unmitigated greed. Those are our comments. We thank you for hearing them. We're available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Synergistic Hawaii Agriculture Council submitted some late testimony in support. Greenwell Farms Inc. testimony in support, and Shannon Rudolph testimony in support. Members, do you have any questions for any of the testifiers that are on the call? If not, thank you very much for your testimony. We'll move forward to the next item on our agenda, which is Senate Bill 2369 relating to tow truck pricing. This measure would adjust towing company charges and fees for vehicles left unattended or abandoned, establishes a cleanup charge and documentation fee. We have our first testifier on Zoom, Mr. Steve Levins, Office of Consumer Protection, Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. Again, I'm Steve Levins from the Office of Consumer Protection. I stand on my written testimony in opposition, and I would only emphasize that we have extremely grave concerns about adding any kind of phantom fees, such as documentation fees or cleanup charges, that are things that actually should be absorbed in the costs associated with the tow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Members, while we have Steve on the line right there, are there any questions for DCCA? If not, thank you.
Chair, I have a question for him.
Yes, Senator Favela, please.
Yeah, I understand you saying that that should be within the charge of the scope of the towing. But nowadays, it's not just a few pieces of glass or cleaning up and stuff like that, because now we're having more debris on how the cars are being built and made nowadays. And there's more risk, especially if the car is a battery car. There's a lot of other stuff that is coming into effect now with just a regular tow. Back then, the cars was all made out of solid metal, so you only would have glass.
Senator, is there a question in there? You're testifying.
Yeah, the question is that's the reason I'm asking him. That's the reason for the difference in how absorbing the toll charge than how it was before. That's the reason why we're asking for this. We're asking for this adjustment in the cleanup.
Yeah, I mean, there are operational costs associated not only with towing, but with virtually every other business that does business in Hawaii and around the country. And if businesses are breaking out all of these fees or charges to the consumer, then what it does is that it eliminates any kind of transparency to what the actual costs are. And it's something that's creeping in throughout the country and also in Hawaii. We have dry cleaners imposing so-called environmental charges. You have disposal charges. All of these charges should be absorbed in the fees that are being presented to a consumer. So a consumer isn't deceived into what the actual costs are. And that's primarily the reason why we're opposed to any kind of separation on this. It's just another way for a business to kind of hit a consumer with additional costs and hide it, rather than just, come out and say that it's X amount of dollars.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next testifier is Hawaii Insurers Council. Michael Onofriedi. Testimony with
Not present.
comments. Okay. Department of Customer Service, City and County of Honolulu submitted some late testimony. Do we have a representative from the city and county on?
Not present.
They support the measure. We have Geico in opposition. Anybody on the call from representing Geico? And the last person that offered late testimony was KAD Inc. in opposition. Is Nicole or anybody from KAD on there? If not, members, any other questions for Mr. Levins? The only one I saw in person. If not, let's move forward to the next measure. This is Senate Bill 2279 relating to catalytic converters. We had a number of measures on catalytic converters and selected this one because it had 20 members who had signed on to it. And all of the people on the other bills that had been introduced signed on to this one. So that's why we selected this one. It establishes the offense of catalytic converter as a Class C felony, defines catalytic converter, requires scrap dealers to follow the same requirements regarding a written statement for the purchase of a catalytic converter as required for the purchase of other scrap metals. You will find that there's been an increase in thefts, and these catalytic converters have some very valuable metals inside, and that's the reason for the thefts. We have testimony from Lance Goto, Deputy AG. Lance, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Chair Baker, committee members. I'm Lance Goto with the Department of the Attorney General. And the department, we really do appreciate the intent of this bill, and we just offer a few comments. We have two primary concerns. First, by accepting catalytic converters from the definition of used motor vehicle part or accessory under Chapter 289 and placing it under the scrap dealer provisions of Chapter 445, the bill appears to disqualify those individuals licensed under Chapter 289 who are licensed to purchase or sell used motor vehicle parts and accessories from dealing in the catalytic converter. So it appears that they will have to obtain a scrap dealer license under Chapter 445 just to deal in this automobile part, this catalytic converter. So that's one concern. And the second has to do with how the theft of catalytic converter, the new offense, is set up on page 2, lines 8 to 14, and we propose some revisions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have your testimony. County of Maui, Department of Prosecuting Attorney, Gerald Enriquez. Gerald, are you on the call? He got some testimony in support of the intent. Pearl City Neighborhood Board, number 21. Submitted testimony. Anybody on the call from Pearl City Neighborhood Board? If not, members, we have their
Not present.
testimony. That their neighborhood board passed a measure, and that is the substance of their strong support for either 2279 or 2733. Hawaii Insurers Council. Testimony and support. Schnitzer Steel, Hawaii. Melissa Pavlicek, are you on the call? She submitted some late testimony, offering some comments. American Property Casualty Insurance Association, late testimony and support. Geico, late testimony and support. Stolen Stuff Hawaii, late testimony and support. Hawaii Transportation Association, testimony and support. All of these individuals testified in support. KK Manera, Michael Rice, Valerie Chang, Susan Crow, Inabia, sorry, Valerie Moss. Anybody on the call wishing to offer comments that I may have missed? Members, any questions for?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Senator San
Would Tricia Nakamatsu, since she's prosecutor? So my concern with the theft of the catalytic converter, because I agree with it in concept, is when someone steals a catalytic converter, aren't they basically committing like two crimes, which is the theft of the catalytic converter itself, as well as committing a property damage, criminal property damage crime? And so, so the answer is yes, right? So
That's correct.
Right. So my concern is if we pass this bill, which makes the theft of a criminal catalytic converter a Class C felony, will that then reduce the criminal property damage crime down from a possible B if it was like a super expensive car down to a Class C? I mean, are we degrading it by passing it if the damage was to like a Rolls Royce or a expensive Tesla?
Thanks for asking that, Senator. The interesting thing is that the value of the catalytic converters, our understanding based on discussions with HPD, is not actually based on the value of the car. It's based on that particular model of catalytic converter, which is designed for that particular model of vehicle. So things like hybrids, Priuses are actually apparently very much in demand because they contain the most of those precious metals, palladium, platinum, rhodium. It's not necessarily how fancy the car is per se. It's going to be more valuable.
No, I understand.
But that said,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but that said, you are correct in stating that theft, just a regular theft in the second degree or third degree, would be applicable if the person is caught in the act, criminal property damage as well if the person is caught in the act. But I think because theft of a catalytic converter, in particular, catalytic converters is just such an enormous problem right now, that heightened penalties just for stealing that type of item would help to deter and more appropriately punish the type of offense, similar to what was done about 10 years ago with theft of copper.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'd like to follow up just one more.
Okay.
So my concern, okay, Tricia, is that when you steal a catalytic converter, you commit to me two crimes, right? The theft of the actual catalytic converter and criminal property damage because you are damaging the car that you stole it from, right? Yeah. If we pass this bill, does the defendant who steals a catalytic converter then gets only charged once instead of the two crimes you folks would normally charge them for?
You know, I'm not totally sure that our department is charging both CPD and theft for those catalytic converter cases, because I don't know that the intent of somebody taking a catalytic converter is to damage the vehicle. It's just to take the catalytic converter. So that's one thing. I can't say with any certainty that we would charge both or that we are charging both at this point. We do want to get away from the value, and both CPD charges and theft charges currently, the way that we have to charge them is tied to the value of the item. And we feel that catalytic converters are the actual, in order to address the problem properly, we need to get away from the black market value of it, which is relatively low compared to the inconvenience and cost for the person who just had it cut out of their vehicle, as well as the general problem that it's creating for society right now.
Okay, Tricia, I mean, since you guys are doing the prosecution, I'll accept your testimony that you would rather have this passed, because like my concern is we're actually decreasing the penalty if we pass this, because there's a potential for two crimes instead of just one. But
we feel that this would be a good move.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we submitted late testimony supporting the intent of SB 2279. And then I think we also submitted on SB 2733, which is coming up.
We have another bill to go on the same subject.
Okay, yeah, I saw the second one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's move forward to the. I'm sorry, Senator Riviere.
Thank you. Can I ask a question of the prosecutor who just spoke? She's still there?
Yes, she's there.
Yes.
Okay. So is this going to be enough? I mean, just identifying it now as a Class C or just saying it's a crime specifically. I mean, how is that going to change prosecution in practice? I mean, what's holding us up now from getting these guys?
I think our testimony, which I'm so sorry was very late this morning, on this particular bill goes into it in some detail that similar to the way theft of copper was handled about 10 years ago, it was a multifaceted approach. We do have a slight preference for the way SB 2733 addresses it, but basically the idea is that you, similar with how it was done with copper, is that you make a dedicated theft of copper or catalytic converter as a Class C felony. And at the same time, you clamp down on, or you impose very strict restrictions on the dealers who are accepting these items to cut down on demand. Basically, we would make sure that they are getting a whole lot of information from the people who are trying to sell these things to them.
But isn't copper still being stolen in a kind of robust amount, or has that been dried up?
You know, actually, in speaking with HPD, very soon after those that multifaceted approach was imposed for copper, the number of incidents went way down.
Okay.
And so we're
Okay, very
hoping the
good.
same will happen with catalytic converters.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think the next measure and the last measure on our agenda is probably the better of the two catalytic converter bills. And let me just read what the measure contains. It's Senate Bill 2733 relating to catalytic converters. Requires used motor vehicle parts dealers to obtain a written statement that the seller of the catalytic converter has the lawful right to sell and dispose of the catalytic converter. Requires certain sellers to provide copies of receipts or a declaration from the purchase of a catalytic converter. Requires dealers to keep records of purchases and sales of catalytic converters. Requires dealers to pay for catalytic converters by check. Requires scrap dealers to keep records of purchases and sales of, and this is why the catalytic converters are being stolen. They contain palladium, platinum, and rhodium, which are very expensive metals that are in these catalytic converters, and that's why they're being stolen. Creates this measure 2733 creates a penalty for engaging in the unlawful business of purchasing or selling a catalytic converter, palladium, platinum, or rhodium. Establishes the offense of theft of catalytic converter and makes it a Class C felony. So our first testimony on this measure is Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Goto.
Morning, Chair, committee member, Lance Goto for the department. The department supports this bill. We do suggest one minor amendment. On page 8, lines 2 to 5, the bill amends section 445-233E. There's just some language in there that is a little ambiguous, and so we suggest some alternate language. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trisha Nakamatsu.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Deputy Prosecutor Trish Nakamatsu, appearing on behalf of the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney, City County of Honolulu. We submitted testimony you have before you in support, actually strong support of this measure. We feel that it would address a very serious problem that exists, particularly on Oahu right now, and that is a high priority for us as well. In addition to our testimony, we did want to mention that currently unlicensed scrap dealing, I'm sorry, that's dealt with under 289-8. The penalties for unlicensed scrap dealing is under 289-8, is currently only an infraction. So in order to ensure that people don't try to just go ahead and become unlicensed scrap dealers to get around these record keeping provisions, that you make the penalties under 289-8. Oh, actually, you could do it directly under, 289-2 specifically, make that a Class C felony as pertains to catalytic converters. And I'm sorry that wasn't included earlier in our testimony, but we're happy to answer any questions or discuss further if needed.
Okay, thank you. I think for all of the testifiers that are on Zoom, you need to keep your voice volume up because quite frankly, Tricia, we were having a little bit of difficulty hearing you. But I think we got the gist of it. We also have testimony and support from the County of Hawai'i Public Defender Paul K. Ferreira. Is Paul on the line? Also
present.
from the Maui County Department of Prosecuting Attorney Gerald Enriquez, also in support. The County of Hawaii Office of the Prosecuting Attorney Alan Bartolome in support. From the Honolulu Police Department, Roland Turner in support. From the Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, City and County of Honolulu, offered some late testimony in support. Pearl City Neighborhood Board, number 21, Larry Beret in support. Hawaii Insurers Council in support. Smith of Steel, Melissa Pavlicek in support. HTA, Hawaii Transportation Association in support. Michael Rice in support. Valerie Chang in support. Susan L. Croy Unavia, late testimony in support. Valerie Moss, late testimony in support, and Geico, late testimony in support. Anybody on the call that I may have missed that wishes to offer comment on Senate Bill 2733, the second of the catalytic converter bills. Members, any questions for any of our testifiers?
Yeah, Lance Godo.
Lance, are you still there?
No, I guess not.
There he is.
I'm here.
Hi. So, the two bills, because it looks like 2279 refers only to the crime, and 2733 is basically what Tricia was referring to, requiring the dealers to come up with the statements as well as making the theft a Class C. Which do you prefer, the 2733 or 2279?
I think I agree with the chair that I think the stronger bill is 2733.
Okay.
We did express concerns about 2279. That bill also, I think, is trying to has a lot of provisions that impose record keeping and record collection requirements upon scrap dealers. This is the bill that tries to move the catalytic converter part under 289, the used motor vehicle parts, to the scrap dealers. Any concerns about that?
And I guess, and I don't see it in but I just want to make sure that somebody who buys like a used car and on Craigslist won't get caught up on committing a Class C felony if they don't have a statement, because it refers to scrap dealers in particular, right?
You're talking about a part out of a car, not the car.
I understand that. That's what I want to make sure of, because if it's not that general, right, Lance?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think that would apply.
Yeah, okay.
Talking about selling a whole used car, right?
A catalytic converter. Yeah, I think it just refers to a scrap dealer.
Right.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Chair,
Yes, Senator
Yeah.
Gonzalez.
yeah. Both bills, I came up with something similar, but I just wanted to talk to the prosecuting attorney. I guess the misunderstanding, my colleague is having is that, yeah, we try to have more accountability at the scrap yard, and the scrap person has nothing to do with scrapping the whole car. It's making them to be accountable. Like if they take any part, copper, anything from the car, they need to have good documentation going forward. Is that what clarifies in the bill?
Senator, I think what sets SB 2733 apart from SB 2279 is primarily the where you're putting those requirements. Because used catalytic converters are already fall within the definition of used motor vehicle parts. We feel that the better place to put it is under the used motor vehicle parts dealers licensees section chapter.
Right, for them to have the documentation that they need to receive the part.
Yeah, so in order to deal in any type of used motor vehicle parts, you have to have that license. And so we feel that catalytic converters fit better under that definition, and then you don't need to make exceptions to the definitions.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, members. Let's take a quick recess and then we will go into decision-making. Recess. Okay, thank you. Call the committee back to order for purposes of decision-making. This is February the 1st. We're in conference room 229, and we have just finished our hearing for the 9:30 agenda. The first item on the agenda was Senate Bill 2905 relating to coffee labeling. There were definitely some issues with this measure, particularly if we look at the Department of Agriculture's comments. Therefore, the recommendation is to defer this measure indefinitely. I spoke with the author and he's fine with that. He wanted to make sure that the measure was heard, and we did that. So the recommendation is to defer 2905 indefinitely. Any concerns from members?
I just want to make a comment, and that is because I'm a Big Island legislator. I really urge the Department of Agriculture, since we're deferring this bill, to enforce the trademark that the Ag Department got for our coffee. So hopefully we don't keep hearing these bills again if they actually enforce our trademark.
Okay, we will send a note. I think the department chair is not on the call anymore, but we'll send a note to reflect your concerns.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is Senate Bill 2906, also relating to agriculture. This has to do with the false labeling and the $10,000 fine. And the Department of Agriculture notes in their testimony, there is no commercial equivalent or industry standard to test roasted coffee and verify the origin to effectively prove a violation of or fraudulent occurrence. That is the reason the chair is recommending that we defer this measure indefinitely. Let's go to the next item on our agenda, Senate Bill 2369 relating to tow truck pricing. This would adjust tow company charges and fees for vehicles left unattended or abandoned, establishes a cleanup charge and documentation fee. Chair recommends that we defer this measure indefinitely. It just has a bunch of other problems related to actually what the impact would be if we put it into place. So even though it was introduced by one of my Maui colleagues, I'm regretfully going to recommend that we defer it indefinitely. The next item on the agenda is Senate Bill 2279 relating to catalytic converters. This one establishes the offense of catalytic converter as a Class C felony, defines what a catalytic converter is, requires scrap dealers to follow the same requirements regarding a written statement for the purchase of a catalytic converter as required for the purchase of other scrap metals. There were lots of catalytic converter bills introduced into the legislature this session. This measure happens to have 20 signatures on it, and that's why Chair is recommending that we use this as the vehicle to deal with catalytic converters this session. Chair recommends that we pass this measure with amendments, including Section 2 from Senate Bill 2733 and the AG amendments, as well as the amendment recommended by the Pearl City Neighborhood Board and the Department of the Attorney General. Any questions or comments? If not, the recommendation is to pass Senate Bill 2279 with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Senator Chang,
Aye.
Senator DeCoy,
Aye.
GR goes aye. Senator Revere,
Aye.
Senator Vivella,
Aye.
motion is adopted.
Did you call Senator San Buenaventura?
Ooh, I missed her. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Senator, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
measures adopted. The last item on our agenda is Senate Bill 2733, also relating to catalytic converters. Since we just passed the previous bill, the recommendation is to defer this one indefinitely, as all of the amendments and other things that were required went into the other bill. Any questions or comments? If not, thank you, members, for being with us today, and we are adjourned.
Okay, thank